Ever feel like the week takes off before you've even had a chance to catch your breath, let alone plan anything? Welcome to Shine with Purpose, where women 40 and beyond come to slow down, get centered, and live with intention. Today, I'm going to walk you through my weekly reset. It's a gentle rhythm I use to get on top of my home tasks, my appointments, and my goals without feeling overwhelmed. Whether you're juggling work, caregiving, or simply want to create a little more order and peace in your week, this is for you. We start out by looking at my new month. I decide on what my focus is going to be, and this gives me an opportunity to write down what my three biggest goals are. And then also in here, I can write down any habits that I'm trying to create, any habits that I'm trying to track. I like how this is just really simple and just has three things. I can also make any notes down here of anything else I know that I want to go ahead and focus on. So I will go ahead and review these before heading over to my planner. And I also keep my brain dump near me so that as I'm going through my plans, I can make sure I'm adding anything that I need to do for our home, for errands, calls, and texts. And then I also have a space over here where I can add in things to talk to my spouse about, our daughters, other things, and then just some other things that I am working on. But I love to be able to just brain dump in here. I keep this going all throughout the month. So once I've looked at this, it's time to review and start looking at my planner. I always start by looking back at the past week. I want to take a look at what things got done, what things felt good, what things felt draining, because this helps me reset with grace and not guilt. At this stage in life, we're not about chasing perfection. We're learning to flow with purpose. So I will go through here and review whatever things that did not get done that needs to move into the next week. So then I will take this and I will come over here to August. And then remember the brain dump list that we made. I will keep this right here as I'm writing so that I can refer to this to add things into my plan this week, as well as adding things to it, because you know how things come up and they remind you, kind of like a memory jogger, right? It's going to remind you of things that you need to take a look at and take care of. All right, now that we have things in our brain dump grouped by categories, like I said, like our home and errands and other things to do, let's go ahead and get started on what we're going to look at for the week. So, first thing I do is check my month at a glance. I try to keep all my appointments on here. I will also go check on my phone calendar to see what things I don't have written in here and make sure that the two are synced together. All right, then we're going to go ahead and look at the next current week. Now, I want to give you a little bit of a close up. You don't have to have this planner. Whatever planner you have, you can absolutely make it work. You could do this on a post-it note where you're just writing basically your morning routine and then after supper. That's what these two columns are for. But in this particular planner, which is from the Passionate Penny Pincher, you can go ahead and check things off as you go through. So I just like these up here to remind me. I'm not really a super check off person, but I will just use these as a reminder. So I like that they have these in here as well as over for each day. There are just a couple things to do that help keep our house nice and clean and tidy. All right, so let's go back to planning our day. We take a look at the week. I like to divide up my day into things to do and then things that are timed over here. I just find that this kind of glance works for me. So I will go through and make sure, first of all, that I have everything going on from my month at a glance written down over here. And then I also look at my appointments. What things do I have to grab? And I'll write those down to make sure that I don't forget anything. And then also, one of the things I like in here is I can go ahead and plan out my meals right in here. And then I can be also making out my grocery list as I go through this. So that's one of the things that we have up here on Sunday to take care of. And again, I don't really get too worried about what days of the week these things are on. I more just view them as short little tasks that take me 10 or 15 minutes to do throughout the week, and I can just check them off. If I'm going to wash my sheets on a Monday and that's over here on a different day, it doesn't matter. I can just check it off or just know that I got it done. So once we've checked our appointments and we know that all these things are just really locked in, you can choose 2 to 3 non negotiables for the week. Things that are going to move you toward the life you actually want, not the one you manage. So that is how we create the life that we actually want to live, right? So this kind of tells us all the things there are to do. But over here at the beginning of the month, in one of my other videos I made, I actually set up some things that I wanted to pay attention to for the month of August. So in here, I've listed some spiritual things I want to do, some physical things that are my goals, some marriage goals that we have, some things we have going on in our family, as well as things for fun, rec, and hobbies, the books that I'm reading, home and spaces, things that I'm taking care of. And then I do keep a list of meals that we like to eat. And I will reference this when I go in here and I'm filling out my week where I'm going to list out what we're going to choose to eat. So I will go ahead and go through here and fill all of those in. One of the main goals with Shine with Purpose on my channel is to show you how to integrate all these parts. When you have your routines written down and you have your morning routine, maybe something that you do in the afternoon when you come home from work or right before dinner when you're making dinner, you have a few things that you do after dinner, as well as some things you want to do before you go to bed. So when you take these things and you put them into your planner, as well as taking things that you have created about how you want to design your life. So I just want to take a minute to go through this with you. So I'm just going to give you a couple examples. So in here, under the spiritual section, so I know that I am going through a devotional book called Made to Shine, and I'm also in a book club, The Power of a Praying Woman. And then I love in my morning time to have candles on, soft music playing while I'm doing my devotional and my prayer time. So when I come over here, I can look at my day and I know that between 5 and 9 a.m. is when I am doing my morning routine. So, these spiritual things that we just discussed are things that I have written down also on here. I have quiet time. I have my coffee with candles. So, this is a way for these to all get put together when we are making out our daily routine. So, some other things to note on here are in our home and spaces. I want to make sure that I'm watering my plants. And again, those are in my afternoon routine. My hummingbirds, I made sure over here on Sunday that I changed out the hummingbird feeder. So this is the way that you have things in here that you are focused on, things that bring you joy, things that bring you peace. These are goals or things that you want to achieve that just make your life not the same mundane thing day after day after day. I hear that from so many people, but my life is the same thing over and over and over. And I just really want you to see how you can create the life that you want. I talk to God about this. I pray through this and I come up with things in our life that we can learn, that we can do differently, ways that we can grow. In our marriage, we are going through a communications book right now. So, again, I have to write that down in here. I have to carve out 1 or 2 evenings a week after dinner or during dinner that we are going to discuss the chapter that we're on. If I didn't do that, it would not happen. So, there's just ways to go through this. I make sure that did we go on a couple date nights? Do we have a couple date nights planned this month? And by looking at my month at a glance, I can see the pace that we have set up for the month. I can see what commitments we have, and I can find the two time slots that are going to work the best. Other things in here too. I love to read. So I want to make sure that I am giving myself time to read before I go to bed. And again, that's in my evening routines. So I hope that you can start to see how all of this can flow together. As I've mentioned before, one of the things we're trying to do is add in a 20-minute walk after our meals. I hope that this inspires you to create a rhythm that works for you. You don't need to have a perfect plan, you just need a space to listen to your life and honor what matters the most. Here, after dinner, I have walk listed, and this is just to remind me that, oh, yeah, that's right, we wanted to do that because it's not really a habit yet. So it's something I need to write down to make sure that it happens. I hope when you look at this a little bit more up close, it gives you some ideas, some ways for you to think about the different areas of your life. Pick one, two, three, four areas to focus on for the month and write down some things that you would like to see. What are some areas of growth? What are some areas that there are challenges that you might need a solution? What areas are there where you want to do something different or learn something together, do something with your child, and then you can come back in here and you can lay it out and plan it out. If we don't plan it out, it doesn't get done. And to me, that's what creates less overwhelm. I am not overwhelmed because it's written down. If I left all that to be swirling around in my mind all the time, I would be very overwhelmed. So writing it down helps me pace it all out and helps me stay on track for all the things that I think are really important that we need to do. It just helps my mind to breathe. It's like a reset in all the key spaces of our home. And, embrace things and then let go of other things. I might also write down a prayer or a verse or a word for the week, and that helps me keep everything grounded. There's even a little bit of space up here in the margin where I will sometimes write down a Bible verse that I will look at and review every single day. So I hope that this inspires you to create a rhythm that works for you. You don't need to have a perfect plan. You just need a space to listen to your life and honor what matters the most. So if this was helpful for you, I would love it if you would hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments what one thing you always include in your weekly reset. All right, until next time, keep shining on purpose.